Okay. Shalom, everybody. Welcome back. Shavua Tov. So we are continuing with where we left off in Likutey Moharan, lesson 24, paragraph number 8. Before we continue, since we are now within the period of 40 days before Purim, and as you probably have heard already, in Rabbi Nachman's teachings, there is a major emphasis put on the amazing power and benefit of Purim and the preparation that you put in to experience the Purim light and experience the mitzvot and the joy and to draw that on for the rest of the year. It's an opening. So in line with that, we're going to try to throw in from time to time some insights based on lesson 24 on the idea of Purim. One thing that we see in the Megillah is that it says that after this miracle took place, Layudim haita ora v'simcha v'sason vikar. Last year, if you recall, we explained Layudim haita ora v'simcha, that this contains the theme of this lesson 24, that by doing the mitzvot b'simcha, you merit to tap into the infinite light, the Or Ein Sof. That's the idea of ora v'simcha, that you have the or, and it's v'simcha due to the simcha. And second explanation, that when you tap into the or Ein Sof, you get simcha yetera. That's why it says first ora and then v'simcha. But now let's take a look at the whole pasuk. Layidim haita ora v'simcha v'sason vikar. So the Chachamim, the sages, they explain like this: Ora, light. First of all, what is the translation of the verse? So the Jews had, after the Purim miracle of Haman, etc., and the Jews had light and simcha, joy, v'sason, and delight, and yikar. This word vikar, which means preciousness, literally, but also means it's also a type of joy. But let's take a look. The Gemara explains like this: 4 things were enhanced from the Purim miracle. Ora, which is, the Gemara says, Torah, that's Torah. There's light in the Torah study. Okay, simcha, joy. The Gemara says that's Yom Tov, the simcha of Yom Tov. And then sason is the Brit Milah, circumcision. And vikar is tefillin. So the question is, what, they didn't have these 4 things before? what does it mean? Layudim haita ora v'simcha v'sason vikar. But they already have that. We already have that from Har Sinai, from the time of Moshe Rabbeinu. What does it mean that the Jews had these 4? It wasn't given then. So the idea explained is it was enhanced due to the miracle, the Purim miracle. These 4 items were enhanced. Okay, what's the idea? Why dafka these 4? There's many mitzvot. There's 613 mitzvot. What sticks out of these 4 mitzvot? Or, which is Torah, ora, Torah, light of Torah study, simcha, Yom Tov, and Brit Milah, and tefillin. So these 4, believe it or not, are vessels, are mitzvot, which serves as vessels for accessing the highest levels of Kedusha. Okay, to explain a little, the Torah, as we know, Torah is milashon hora'ah, instruction. The purpose of learning Torah is to absorb, learn, and understand, integrate, and make part of you what Hashem wants, Hashem's will. We learn the Torah to learn what Hashem wants of us. All the parts of the Torah, the Pshat, the Remez, the Dvash, the Sod, all of that is to understand Hashem's will. On a deeper level, Hashem uses the Torah as a type of like a basis to shine into you divine messages of a higher level, of the Or Ein Sof, which in a sense is higher than the Torah itself, but it uses the Torah to get you a message. So in other words, when a person is accustomed to learning Torah, Hashem will use the Torah to transmit ideas to that person. A person is struggling with many things in life, if it's Shalom Bayit issues, if it's chinuch, children issues, if it's health issues, if it's his hashkafa things, if it's personal struggles, and he feels he has no one to talk to, he feels like nobody understands what he's going through, and he speaks to people, but it doesn't touch base, doesn't go in, it doesn't sink in, doesn't resonate, he feels he needs more. So Hashem can use then the Torah when a person does the things right, and activates the infinite light. So then the infinite light uses the Torah to tell a person a message that only he can see it. So this is the idea of the Torah being light. Okay, so the Torah study is a vessel for something higher. It is a mitzvah. It's one of the 613 mitzvot, but also it serves as a vessel for something higher. Yom Tov is called a good day, and the idea of Yom Tov is also called Mikra Kodesh, calling out holiness, meaning that it serves also as a vessel to transmit Kedusha, but also Simcha. All mitzvot are like this, but Yom Tov sticks out. It's a positive mitzvah to be happy on Yom Tov, V'samachta b'chagecha, and you should be happy and rejoice on your festival. But also it calls out Kodesh. It's a Mikra Kodesh. It's not the essence of Kodesh. Rabbi Nachman goes into this, but it calls out the Kodesh. The Kodesh itself that it's calling out is Shabbat Kodesh. And Yom Tov it serves as a vessel to transmit on a more tangible level the light of Shabbat. Shabbat is a big light, by the way. We go way above our level, and it's above our capacity even, Shabbat. You need a big zchut to be able to connect into Shabbat. But Yom Tov is, every Jew, even the most simplest Jews, when it comes to Yom Tov, they feel something. If Yom Tov preparations, it's buying the food for Yom Tov, the clothing, the mitzvot, if it's the matzot, or the lulav, the etrog, or the cheesecake for Shavuot, whatever. There is a simcha in the preparation, and when a person gets the Yom Tov, he's put so much effort into it, so he feels a type of a level of joy. You can feel it more. So Yom Tov, in that sense, is like a vessel for something higher, okay, to receive within it. Rabbi Nachman teaches already, we'll go into this already, that Yom Tov reveals the light of the tzaddikim. It's a vessel to receive the light of the tzaddikim. The Torah also. The tzaddikim use the Torah to shine their light. For example, Rabbi Nachman, Chassidut takes the psukim of the Torah, the Gemara, the Midrash, the Zohar, the Kabbalah, okay? They take what's brought down, and they use that to reveal their perceptions. They have a perception. You can see this a lot by Rabbi Nachman in the Likutey Moharan. He has an idea, and then he uses verses or a Gemara or a Zohar to support the idea. He gives you a verse to show a smachta, it's called in Hebrew, a support for what he's saying. It's his idea, but he uses the basis as verses. That's the idea that the Torah is a vessel for something higher, B'ezrat Hashem, okay? So that's how the Torah is a vessel for the light of the tzaddikim. Yom Tov, he says clearly, they reveal the 49 levels of holiness are revealed on Yom Tov, and it reveals the level of Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu is connected directly to Yom Tov, meaning that you can receive the light of the tzaddikim on Yom Tov, through the Yom Tov. That's the idea of Hakbalat Pnei Rabo Baregel. There was a mitzvah, and there still is a mitzvah, that on the 3 festivals, to go and receive the countenance, the face, to visit and to see the countenance and face of the tzaddikim, okay? To see their face. So Yom Tov is associated with shining the countenance of the tzaddikim, and explains Rabbi Nachman, even when they're not physically here, still you can receive the light of the tzaddikim through their teachings and through the holiness of Yom Tov. Number 3, Sason Brit Milah. Brit Milah, the removing of the foreskin, and then thus revealing the true weapon of a Jew, his guarding of the covenant, which is revealed in sexual purity, and that's dependent mainly on being circumcised, cutting off the foreskin and preparing the human being, the Jew, the male Jew, to be a vessel for holiness, to be fruitful and multiply within this vessel of holiness. Also, Brit Milah reveals the light of the tzaddikim. Because like the Zohar says, what is the definition of a tzaddik? Man de natar brit, someone who guards the covenant. That's the idea of circumcision. So circumcision, Brit Milah, by every Jew, it becomes a vessel for them to receive the light of the tzaddikim, whether becoming a tzaddik themselves or connecting to the tzaddikim according to the level of how much they guard their covenant. That's the idea of the circumcision. And finally, the idea of the tefillin. The tefillin, Rabbi Nachman has a whole lesson on this, lesson 67, part 2, that the tzaddikim fill up the boxes of the tefillin. The 4 parshiot, the 4 sections of the tefillin on the head and in the arm, correspond to 4 levels of mentalities that have been mastered in holiness by the tzaddikim, okay? and it's encompassed in the box of the tefillin. So he says this concept that the tzaddikim mimale, they fill up the box of the tefillin. The tzaddikim fill it up. So here clearly the idea of the tefillin being a vessel. So all these 4 mitzvot stick out from the other 613 mitzvot, that they're special to be a vessel to fill in with the light of the tzaddikim, and so are major catapults for a person to activate simcha for the entire year. So when it says in the Megillat Esther, Layudim haita ora v'simcha v'sason vikar, and the Jews had, and also the Layudim haita, the word haya and haita is the feminine, is always a happy term, as opposed to vehayu or vayehi. Sorry, vayehi is something which is like full of sadness, but vehaya or haita, all that is a term of joy, b'ezrat Hashem. So what was enhanced by the Jews on Purim, because of Purim, were these specific mitzvot. Why these specific mitzvot? Because they shine within them the light of the tzaddikim. The light of Mordechai was revealed with the whole miracle of Purim. It says in the Megillah a few times that Mordechai's fame was spreading amongst all the 127 countries of King Achashverosh. He became very popular. The idea of the tzaddikim gaining fame in order to convince and show people the greatness of Hashem. That's the idea of the tzaddikim. Okay? And that enhanced Ora, V'simcha, V'sason, Vikar. So these 4 mitzvot, even though all the mitzvot can be done b'simcha, but these 4 specific mitzvot are done especially b'simcha and are key, in a sense, for all the other mitzvot to be done b'simcha. These 4. Torah study, Yom Tov, Brit Milah, circumcision, and tefillin. These are mitzvot that a Jew can always be happy with and use them as a vessel to bring happiness in his joy in doing the mitzvot, and then transmitting it to the rest of the mitzvot b'ezrat Hashem. Okay, that's just one insight connecting Purim. We should be zoche to receive the light of Purim, which is so big in Rabbi Nachman's teachings. He says, invest wisely. There's many places to invest in Judaism, and he points out, be smart. Invest in Purim. Purim is the key for Pesach, and Pesach observance is the key for the rest of the year. So if you're smart, you start already for Purim. But for Purim to happen properly, you need to prepare. How do you prepare? The davening. The davening before Purim, which is this 40-day period, b'ezrat Hashem, to be saved from the evil force, the evil klipa of Haman Amalek, and to be zochet to merit to the light of Mordechai and Esther. And it doesn't come by itself. Yeah, Purim, everyone's happy and merry. According to how much you prepare, that's how much you'll experience Purim. That's why it's so big. It's so big, the preparation, in this case for Purim, even more than the Chag itself, because dependent on how much you prepared and yearned to have the light of Purim, the joy of Purim, and the light of Mordechai, and all these breakthroughs that you need in life. Like we've said many, many times, we'll say it again, the famous teaching of the Maggid of Mizrich, that he explains the halacha on Purim, where it says, Kol poshet yad notnim lo. The halacha is, anybody who asks for money on Purim, you give. No questions asked. No questions. Anybody, even your neighbor, he has the Rolls Royce and Ferrari, and he has the nice villa, the nice mansion, and he's going around asking tzedakah. Halacha is you give him on Purim. You don't ask questions, okay? Kol poshet yad notnim lo. So the Maggid said this applies also between man and God. It's the propitious day to stick out your hand to Hashem and ask Him for anything, and Hashem won't refuse. That's what He teaches. Kol poshet yad, whatever you ask from Hashem, Hashem, give me children, give me shalom bayit, give me this. Let me be healthy. Let me be able to serve you, to have your shamayim emunah, so you have better chances on getting answered on Purim. But for that to happen, you got to prepare already. According to how much you prepare, that's how much you're zochet to the Purim experience. B'ezrat Hashem. With all that said, we're going to continue with where we left off in Likutey Moharan, lesson 24, paragraph number 8. I'd like to, before just going over quickly the lesson again, because this paragraph is something that we have to always go back to read from the beginning of it in order to grasp and be able to properly understand the new ideas. What Rabbi Nachman is doing, what he does in general, is he presents an idea, and then he brings like a source for it and everything. And then what we'll do also, he'll bring a second idea, which contains the first one. So you think, so why are you repeating it? Why are you now rephrasing the idea, bring a second proof? Because the second proof now is much more wider and broader, and it includes in it many other additional ideas. And he comes to show you that what he said originally also applies here now too. So wow, it's more applicable, it's more spreading out. And then what he'll do, like we're going to see in this paragraph, he brings a third concept, shows you how it's related to the first and second, and the third one being much, much bigger, shows you the broader perspective, the broader accomplishment of this concept when it's activated. Absolutely unbelievable. And where Rabbi Nachman is going to take us now is, in my opinion, one of the most amazing parts of the entire Likutey Moharan. It's the only place this concept, which is called the Tzachtzachot, the light of splendor, Orot Tzachtzachot. It's the only place explained in Likutey Moharan. It is a topic, a concept which is barely touched upon. It's kept secret and hidden in a way because it's so lofty in the Kabbalistic teachings, and yet Rabbi Nachman Rabbeinu gives us some foothold to get into this, and he shows how it's relating to everything that he's saying up until now. So we're going to go over again from the beginning of paragraph 8, and we're going to tap into the new section discussed and revealed by Rabbi Nachman, and let's see if this class will cover it, because it's so rich, so power-packed, this idea of the Tzachtzachot. I have no idea if even one class will suffice. Let's see whatever Hashem gives us and guides us to do this. So we're going to start again, beginning of paragraph number 8, lesson 24. And when a person makes and rectifies the settling and organization of the mind, which like we said in the previous paragraph 7, is done by waiting. You're made to wait, and the waiting allows the mind, the Keter, to settle the mind, and this in order to prepare the mind to receive the infinite light, to receive vessels, the 9 vessels which we'll talk about, which will contain within them a glimpse, a shining experience, even passing of the infinite light, which stays with the person and gives them guidance and fulfillment and simcha, and letting them to go on in life and not to be bogged down by setbacks, and begin to see and interpret the setbacks as stepping stones and coming closer to Hashem, to levels that he never in his life would imagine that he would ever get to them. So when a person does and rectifies the settling and organization of the mind, Shewa Keter, which is the Keter, like we said, the concept of this barrier, this level called the Keter, which does this, and he does it properly, Karaui. And when it's done properly, the natural, normal, healthy tendency is when a person is now at this level, activating the Keter and having the mind settled, and the mind is now running to perceive the infinite light because it's in the proper positioning now, due to the person doing mitzvot besimcha, leading him to activate the Keter, and the Keter now is getting ready. The Keter me'akev et hasechel, and the Keter now delays, it pushes back, it stops the intellect from going forward. Why? Like we said, kedei liyashev et hasechel, in order to settle the mind, the intellect, and through these 2 stages of the running of the mind forward and then being pushed back, delayed, and thrown back, in a sense, me'akev, prevented from advancing. Azai makeh hamochin ba'me'ashev va'mesader, so that the person's mind, intellect, then smashes into the settling and organization of the mind, which is the Keter, doesn't let it go forward, doesn't let it advance, because its definition is leshevet, sit, and lesader, organize. And while running forward, you can't do that, so you got to stop the mind. This creates this running and then being pushed back, bounce back. These create chambers to contain within them the infinite light. So so it's something, but he says, nonetheless, even though it seems to be something that you created, la yediyah vela ityada, these chambers of the infinite light are not known, and they don't make themselves accessible to be made known. You're stuck from both directions. Kamuva bazora Parshat Noach, as is brought down, this concept is brought down in the Zohar, Parshat Noach, page 65a. Umigo hai prisa bedifa dahai machshava, and from within this curtain, while this thought is running forward, so 2 items joining, so it causes what's called mate vela mate, reaching the goal and yet not reaching lamate, the goal of connecting to what's beyond the prisa, the curtain. And explains now what is this prisa or prisa. This curtain that mentioned by the Zohar there, page 65a, Zamisader v'meashev. This is the organized or the settling, the organization and settling of the mind. Shu bechinat Keter, which is the idea of the Keter, like we said. Shu parus ben hanetzalim leben ma'atzil, who's spread out like a curtain between those being created and the one who created them. V'tavidu tesha hechalin, and they, Rabbi Nachman is going back to quote the Zohar. He explained now, when we go high priest until now I was explaining again. Now he takes another piece. He chooses from this paragraph, this thick paragraph from the Zohar. He decides to just touch upon so far 2 lines from this paragraph of the Zohar. So the next line that he takes from, he skips a few lines and he goes to the next thing that he wants to quote. V'tavidu tesha chalin, and are made by this bounce, this running and then being bounced back. It creates 9 chambers. These 9 are not in the category of the nefesh, which is light, nehorin. Vela ruchin, they're not even in the category of the spirit. Vela nishmatin, they're not even in the category of the neshama, the 3 lower levels of the soul. Rather, they're above that. Veleitman dekaim babehu, and no one can stand before these chambers. In other words, you can't have a grounding on them. It's something which is untouchable, in a sense, untangible. Vela midabikin, and they cannot be connected to devik, attached to. Vela mitadin, nor do they make themselves known. Okay? And then this is what we said last week. Veda, all this we just said now. This is the meaning of this famous verse. We didn't mention the source. The following statement appears the first time in an ancient book from the period of the Rishonim, like the 1100s, 1200s, 1300s, whatever. It's a book called Bechinot Olam. This book, Bechinot Olam, brings down a quote which is very, very quoted, very common, and for many authors, Torah scholars, to quote this phrase. The phrase is, Tachlit ha'idiyah delo yeda. The goal of knowledge is to not know. And Rabbi Nachman explains what we said until now in this perspective of the statement. The goal of knowledge, you're wanting to reach your tachlit. The goal of knowledge is the Keter, the infinite light. You want to reach that yediyah, okay, and perceive. You should know that the goal of knowing, to get to it, delo yeda, you have to not know. In order to connect to knowing, you have to be in the status of not knowing. This is how Rabbi Nachman explains it. In order to get to something inside, internalized, you have to, prerequisite, be in the level of not knowing. And that's the goal, really. It's also the goal. The ultimate goal is not to know. But after that, there's another knowing. But so after that, there's a not knowing. And after that, there's another knowing. After that, there's not knowing. But the final thing is I don't know. And that's where we left off. So now Rabbi Nachman introduces a higher dimension, a higher level, taking these ideas and making them a part of what he's saying. V'zeh bechinat, everything we've said until now is the idea expressed in a verse from the book Isaiah, chapter 58, verse 11. Why? What a verse. I wish I had the whole Tanakh here to show you the whole verse. Probably do that in another class. The verse that he's quoting is, V'isbia b'Tzachtzachot nafshecha. And Hashem will satiate, will satisfy with Tzachtzachot, which can be translated as with splendors, your soul. So the simple translation is, V'isbia b'Tzachtzachot nafshecha, and Hashem will satiate your soul with splendors. What is the verse talking about? So the commentaries explain, these verses, from I think verse 7 or 9 to verse 11 or 12, are talking about the reward of tzaddikim in the future. And it lists 11 items. This item is number 7. And Hashem will satiate your soul with tzachtzachot. Okay, this is very deep. Very, very deep. There's a book, I think, by the Chida called Kada Kemach. Also, it's in the Zohar, explaining this verse, this word, Tzachtzachot. What an interesting word. Tzach, and then it's repeated again, Tzachot. So Tzach is like singular, Tzach, and then Tzachot is plural. So it's like you have 3 items here, Tzach, Tzachot. Indeed, Arizal says that it was a doubt by Yeshayahu who said this word, is the splendor Tzach or Tzachot? Is it singular or plural? What they want to say in the Kabbalah, they explain that what is the light of the Tzachtzachot? Because there are 3 levels in the Keter, the crown, according to the Kabbalah. Is it above all 3? Is it 2 of the 3? Is it 1 of the 3? So that's why it's broken down. Tzach is 1, and then Tzachot is 2. It was a doubt. Does it fill up only the upper third, which is Tzach? Or does it fill up the lower 2, also called Tzachot? So what is it? So they don't know, so they leave the word Tzachtzachot, where it implies 1 plus another 2 equals 3. So Hashem will satiate with the light of the Keter, which is called Tzachtzachot, your nefesh. Okay? This is the beginning of how it's explained. The Zohar goes further to say, and this we're going to have to develop a lot, this idea, that the word, and this also the Kadakemach explains, Tzachtzachot is, the root of this word is 2 opposites. One, it means like a light of splendor, like it says in Shir Shirim, Tzach ve'adom. Dodi tzach ve'adom, my beloved is tzach, nice and clear and shiny and red. Adom, but a shiny red. So it means to glitter, a light. But also, Tzachtzachot is rooted from the word for being parched, dry, thirsty, and like yearning for water. Tzacha, someone who's tzacha, tzachot means someone who's thirsty. And the Zohar says, an amazing expression, this word tzachtzachot is explained above and below. Above meaning light, like we explained. Tzach means like tzach va'adom, pure light. But it also means tzachtzachot, which means thirsty. Now, that's how it's left in the Zohar. However, when you learn this lesson carefully, and you see how Rav Nosson, in his prayer on this section of Likutey Moharan, how he expresses the idea of this verse, all of a sudden, Rav Nosson opens up for us the concept of yearning. Yearning as expressed in the concept of thirst, a spiritual thirst. When a person's thirsty, so he's yearning for water. We don't say he's dying for water. The modern expression is he's dying for water. But they really mean to say he's yearning for a cup of water. He's parched, dry, he needs water. So on a spiritual level, when a person is thirsty for water, for a respite and a consolation and a healing. So the Zohar Chadash, it says that this is the power of the Tzachtzachot, is that it allows a person when it's connected into, tapped into, that a person can draw upon themselves, major healing for everything. It's a light which is healing for everything. It solves all the problems. It gives a person a major consolation. So because of that, it's talking about something super duper high, above everything else. He's going to say, coming up, Rabbi Nachman, that Tzachtzachot is above the Sfirot. It's above the makeup of the creation. Indeed, this is the highest level possible to reach as a boundary between us and Hashem. It's the separation. It's the boundary. That's how high it is, okay? And yet the way to access it is 2 opposites. It's yearning, and yearning for coming closer. And through that yearning, which is brought out because of the setback, of being pushed back in life, so this yearning activates the actual light. So this is what he said. This idea of 2 opposites is similar to the idea of the 9 chambers created dafka when being bounced back by being makkah, that the person's mind is bashing into the wall of the Keter, and the Keter bounces the person back to settle the mind. When the mind is settled, it creates these 9 vessels, and these 9 vessels are now a conduit, a means to receive the infinite light. And even the vessels themselves, la yadia vela ityada, they're not known, they don't make themselves known. This is the same idea of Tzachtzachot, where through yearning, because you're pushed back, because a person who has it all, he doesn't yearn. When a person has everything going for him in life, there's no yearning. Yearning comes out specifically when a person has obstacles, setbacks, frustrations, difficulties, suffering, pain, you name it. All of that is meant to bring out the person's inner yearning and desire. Okay? So Rabbi Nachman here adds a new dimension to the idea of the bounce back of the Keter. What do you expect it to do? When being bounced back, you want to go forward, the mind wants to go forward, because there's so much out there. There's so much light out there that you just want to connect to it, but they say from heaven, no, this is not the way. Your mind is not ready, you're going to burn out. You need to have a settled and organized mind to receive this light. So the Keter pushes the person back, and the pushback creates a person to feel, not dejected, rejected, frustrated, and really mellowed back and pushed down and feeling, guilty and feeling depressed and lethargic and negative. So what is expected of the person to do when that happens? He's expected to express his inner yearning. This is happening for the person to connect to the Tzachtzachot. So what to do? Express the yearning. Okay? Express the yearning. I'm just thinking now, in a sense, in the word Tzachtzachot, you have a reference to the two opposites. The Tzach of the word Tzachtzachot is referring to the light itself, accessing the infinite light, which is the result of the yearning here, which is due to the setback. And Tzachot is where a person expresses many types of thirst. That's why it's in plural. Why is it in plural? Because a person is having difficulty here, difficulty there, this hurts, that hurts. It's like not one thing that bothers him, it's many things. So from the many, there's tzachot, he's a thirst over here, there's a thirst and yearning over there. All that multitude and multiples levels, plurality levels of thirst cause different types of yearning, which allow a person to connect to the tzach. So in tzachtzachot, you have the two already hinted to in the division of the word tzach and tzachot. Okay? One thing I want to mention is how the Gemara and the Midrash open up this verse. Mainly it's the Midrash, really. The Midrash, and it's the Gemara, learns out from these verses. This is verse 11. So again, from verse 9 to verse 11, 12, there are like 11 blessings here. 11. And this is blessing number 11 here. Again, I'd like to, in the next class, show you inside the text for this verse and the verses, so you can see the exact wording of each of the 11 blessings. The Gemara says these 11 blessings are not just given in the world to come, which is true, and which we wait, because these blessings are very high. They're so powerful. They're all-inclusive blessings when you see them. They include everything in life. Hashem will guide you on the proper path, the proper pathway to get straight. All these things come about with the 11 blessings mentioned, Bezrat Hashem. Okay? But number 7 is this one. What were these 11 blessings designated for? The Gemara talks about someone who gives tzedakah and somebody who wants to give the person tzedakah, but he doesn't have tzedakah to give. So instead of giving him tzedakah, he gives him words of encouragement. So the Gemara says the person who gives tzedakah is rewarded 6 blessings. And a person now who's mefayes, who encourages the person, believe me, I want to give you, I want to help you, but I have nothing. All I can do is give you is words of encouragement, not to give up. Hashem won't abandon you. You'll see, you'll make it and everything. When a person gives such words of chizuk to the poor person, he's rewarded more blessings. He gets 11. The person who gave tzedakah gets only 6. Why only 6? Because you gave him money. Money comes, money goes. He got the money, he bought food, he got clothing, he did whatever he needed to do, even mitzvot. He bought for Shabbos, but it's gone. It's in and out. But when you talk with a person, words of encouragement, it resonates. It resonates with that person. It stays with him forever. If these words were spoken with such sincerity and honesty, that you tell the person, believe me, I want to give my soul to help you, but I can't. I don't have anything to help you with. So these words are so consoling, such a consolation, that the person takes it and it resonates for him. Ideally, the person should do both. Both is to actually give. So he gets 6 other blessings not mentioned in these verses. And when he also appeases him, that he wants to do more and wants to help him and he should hold on, he gets also 11. 11 plus 6 is 17, and that's Gematria Tov. Ideally, the goal is to reach it to be Tov, good. But of the two, if I have only one, or of the two, if I give only tzedakah and no appeasing, so I get 6. And if I appease and not give, I get 11. Okay? Now it's interesting that these 11 are similar to the fragrances of the Ketoret. The Ketoret also has 11 fragrances. It's not by chance that there's 11 blessings here for someone who consoles. Because and also that it's similar to the Ketoret, which has 11. We said, if you remember, in the beginning of this class, that the Ketoret has the power to bring simcha, because the Ketoret smashes the evil and extracts the holiness and brings it out. And Rabbi Nachman teaches in this lesson that simcha does the exact same thing as Ketoret. That when you do a mitzvah besimcha, when you do it, first of all, when you besimcha, that smashes the evil, and then when you take that simcha and do it in a mitzvah, you elevate the holiness trapped there. And so that's why they're synonymous. And Rabbi Nachman brought a verse in the beginning of this lesson, Ketoret yesamach lev. That the Ketoret brings joy to the heart referring to the Shechina. Okay? Natata simcha belibi. He says, they're quoting the sources, that the lev is the heart of Am Yisrael, which is the Shechina, and bringing joy to the heart of the Shechina is when a Jew does a mitzvah besimcha as he is. Even if he's the biggest lowlife, he's the biggest sinner, he's the biggest transgressor. Yet, when such a person wants to do something good and he's sincere, he has every right to do it besimcha. We don't say to him, look at you, you're such a nobody, your mitzvah doesn't count, has no value. We don't say that. No way. No way. We tell a person, even the biggest sinner, if he has a drop of sincerity, he wants to do good, they should do it and be happy about it and be proud of it, and shouldn't say, what's my mitzvah going to do? I'm already doomed for Gehinnom for the rest of my existence. I'm never going to make it. He shouldn't say that. He should say, I've done what I've done, but Hashem has given me this golden opportunity to do a mitzvah which connects me, little me, to the highest levels of creation. That which is even above the creation. It connects me to the infinite light. If I do it b'simcha, even me as I am can reconnect from as far as I've fallen with doing the mitzvah with joy. Okay? So this is what he said in the beginning of the lesson about the power of the Ketoret, that has 11 fragrances, and it has the same power to, like simcha in doing a mitzvah does. And also Rav Nosson adds in the abridged Likutey Moharan that this is why saying Ketoret with concentration during davening, we have it twice in Shacharit and once in Mincha, saying it with kavana is inducive to bring on simcha. Can you believe that? Saying the Ketoret, when you're down, say Ketoret. That's what the Ketoret does. It invokes simcha. That's what the verse reads. Ketoret yesamach lev. Ketoret brings joy to the heart. And here, this verse, Tzachtzachot nafshecha, is one of the 11 blessings given to a person who consoles a person who's broken and has no money. Because consoling a person, giving him chizuk, give a person encouragement when he has no money, and you tell the person just words that give him hope not to give up, that is synonymous with joy in low, dark situations, and getting the person out. Just like the Torah does that, so too when a person consoles a person with words of consolation and chizuk, don't give up, Hashem's going to be there for you and everything, it helps him get out. It has the same power. So this is why this verse, these 11 blessings are dafka specifically 11, because the consolation the person gave to get these 11 blessings, it shows that it's connected to the idea of the Keter, which is also 11 fragrances, okay? And this one is number 7. We have to go into the details of what's so unique of the number 7 in the Ketoret, which is the 7th fragrance listed in the Torah, and how it's related to this one, because even though there's 11 blessings, and each one is a blessing in itself, yet this one is the highest one. So you think, just get one blessing. Get just Vizbiya b'Tzachtzachot nafshecha. Why need the other ones? So it seems the other 10 blessings are prerequisites for this one, for number 7 here. In other words, leading up to this one, because this is the spitz, this is the pinnacle, this is the maximum level in the blessings. Okay? There's so much more to go on to in this verse. It's unbelievable how much we can tap into Bezrat Hashem. But I think we summarized a few ideas just for today. V'izbiya b'Tzachtzachot nafshecha. One more point is he's saying, what's the actual verse we're saying in based on this? We said the 2 explanations of the Zohar. One where it's tzach, which means light, pure, clarity, which means getting clarity in your life, in your darkest situations to get clarity, but also means thirsty, which means yearning, and how the yearning is the key to activate this light which you need in your life. So now he says here, V'izbiya, Hashem will bring satiation, satisfaction, savia. The person is full and satiated with tzachtzachot, your nefesh. In other words, This is the first explanation that it means tzach, which means light. Hashem will bring satisfaction with using tzachtzachot to where? To the nefesh, to your nefesh. The verse doesn't say ruchacha, your spirit. It doesn't say nishmatcha, your upper soul. It says specifically the nefesh, because the nefesh is the lowest of the three, and yet when a person taps into the light of tzachtzachot, it shines a light of consolation, of clarity, of a solution, even down to the beginning level of the person's spiritual connection, which is the nefesh. So the verse is reading, Ve'hisbiyan Hashem will bring satiation with tzachtzachot, even to the nefesh, even to your nefesh, as low as you've fallen, and you've done terrible things and abominations, chas v'shalom, and disgusting things, yet you still want to come back, and you still yearn, so Hashem will satiate with tzachtzachot the soul. And then according to the second explanation, it's where it means thirst. So the verse reads like this, Ve'hisbiya, and Hashem will bring satisfaction, satiation, fulfillment, b'tzachtzachot nafshecha, while your soul is thirsty and parched dry. So tzachtzachot is referring to the status of the nefesh, not the means to help the nefesh, but the status of the nefesh itself. So we're reading the verse, and Hashem will bring satisfaction to the nefesh, which is thirsty and parched and dry. And both come in together in this one word. And Rav Nosson opens the door, showing us the power of Ratzon. That when a Jew expresses his parchedness as being dry to Hashem, and he tells Hashem, all I wanted was to be a Jew, all I wanted was to serve you, that's all I wanted in my life. When a person expresses his good Ratzon, there's no blocking. You can't imagine how powerful it is when a Jew opens up his heart to Hashem and he tells him what's in his heart. All I wanted was just to serve you, Hashem. All I wanted was to do good. When you take on this attitude, Hashem reveals to you things and opens up doors that you didn't even know existed. And it's like, it's something which is never turned down. It's a pasuk, Lev nishbar v'nitke, Elokim lo tivzeh. A broken heart, Lev nishbar v'nitke, a broken and meduka, and a suffering heart, Elokim lo tivzeh. The Lord, He won't insult. He won't say, go from here. You're not deserving. When a person comes to Hashem with a broken heart, there's nothing that stops it. It's so powerful because it doesn't come easily. Most people, until you get them to open their heart, they have to be punched and punched and punched. And yet when a person already reaches the level of tzachah, so he's parched dry, and there's nothing left to hide. He can't hide behind it. Most people, they're like embarrassed to express their heart before Hashem. They're cold, they're stone, because they still have a lot of what's called padding. You know padding? I have a joke that people today, like the new style of clothing is to have a lot of padding, like in winter coats, in the shoes, everything has padding. Why? Because people are covering themselves up, hiding behind a lot of padding, okay? But when you remove all the padding, the person has nothing to hide from anymore, and he sees how he's so miserable, and he's such a misken, he's such a nebech, okay? At that point, a person begins to feel how dry he is, and if he's smart, he does the right thing, which is what? To express his thirst to Hashem. Rav Nosson on the prayer on this piece is so powerful because Rav Nosson is showing you an advice in prayer format. In the Likutey Moharan, you don't see it, but when you see how Rav Nosson re-expresses the idea in the prayer, it has a solution. He says there are a few verses. Tzama nafshi lelokim lekel chai matai avo ve'ra'eh pnei elokim. My soul is thirsty for you, and that's what the word tzachah means. Tzachah means thirst, parched, dry. And the verse, he's interpreting Rav Nosson, he's taking the verse from King David from chapter 42. Tzama nafshi lelokim. I'm not thirsty for water. My soul is thirsty for Hashem, for the Lord. Lekel chai. When am I going to see Pnei Elokim, right? And then the other verse, Nichsefa v'gam kalta nafshi. Nichsefa, which means a yearning. V'gam kalta nafshi. My soul is expiring. It's pining and yearning for you, Hashem. So when a Jew, when he gets hit in life, And he knows that his initial intentions, whatever he did, was honest and sincere. Whether it was getting married, whether it was beginning to commit to Yiddishkeit and to davening and learning Torah, and then he has all these setbacks and all these crazy things and all these ulterior motives come in, and all these things, they just bring him down. So that when a person goes back to stage one and he says to Hashem, Hashem, all I wanted was just to serve you. Nachon, all these crazy things happen out of me, but I'm telling you, intact is my inner desire. I just want to serve you. This activates Orot Tzachtzachot. Crazy. You can bypass everything with the Ratzon, which is due to the thirst. And it's an opportunity when a person is hit with setbacks, and then he uses it to express his desire. This was sent to him to help him out of his misery in his situation. Okay, sometimes it may take a few stages. Every time though, you chip at the wall, you get somewhere. You feel a consolation afterwards. After you let it out of your heart, you feel that Hashem, you feel like He was listening. You can feel that, I felt that God was listening to me. Because it came up from such a deep place, and I have a good feeling afterwards that, wow, thank you for that opportunity. So in a sense, you feel Hashem was listening to you, and things do move. Things are not stagnant. You begin to see, you're not where you want to be yet, but you do see a consolation, a little hint of hope that Hashem shows to you. That's why this is so powerful. And in this, it's explaining the need of the Keter to bounce you back. This is why the Keter bounces back a person. It bounces back a person in order to get out his desire, to connect to him, to the Orot Tzachtzachot. Okay, we'll continue next week, hopefully. And I'm going to read for next week a Tanakh on this pasuk. And we're going to see it's Yeshayahu 58, verse 11. Yeah, first I couldn't find it. So B'ezrat Hashem will continue with this. There's so much to say about this verse. And also we want to go on to how Rabbeinu explained that this idea in the verse B'ezrat Hashem. But the bottom line is that he's introducing at this level the idea of the Tzachtzachot, and there's nothing greater than that. There's nothing higher. That was already the idea of the Keter and everything, but now he's showing you what it means. It means to get clarity from the yearning express. B'ezrat Hashem. Time's up now, I think. Baruch Hashem. Keep at the end. B'ezrat Hashem. All right. Shkoyach, thank you for joining. And to be continued. B'ezrat Hashem. Yeah. That's okay.